Hey guys, it's your girl, the Sweet Physique, and I am back for another car ride discussion. It's been a very busy but yet productive morning. I had a treat order that I filled and dropped off. I had a gym session. I just left the car wash, and I'm heading to the store so I can finish my meal prep, get a little nap in before I head to work tonight, and then go save some lives at the hospital. This week in particular, I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about another important subject that definitely is always on my mind. I feel like, it's very, very important to keep this in the forefront if you're a parent, or even if you just have any sort of influence on children. But I think one thing as a parent that we have to always be mindful of is our impact on others, especially our kids. And what I mean by that is, what morals, values, and principles do you want to instill in your child? How do you want them to see or view you? When they talk about their mom or when they talk about their dad, what do you want them to say? What impact do you want to have on their lives? Especially, it's really important in any stage of life because, young kids, older kids, there's always something to learn. Different things are more critical at different stages. But really, especially as a child, children are sponges. They are really just absorbing everything in their environment, everything that they see, everything that they hear. And people they're just around a lot, they often emulate a lot of things that they see you do as a parent. You are their safe space. Kids oftentimes look to you for, what do I do next? Advice. Just how to move and groove. Oh, I see my dad drinking coffee like this. Let me do that. Oh, I see my mom folding clothes like this. Let me do that. They hear everything that's going on, and a lot of times they do repeat what you say. You literally are laying the foundation, that footwork, that blueprint for how a lot of kids feel like they need to be moving and grooving in their life, especially at a young age. They are so impressionable. This is like the critical time to start molding your child to, get them to try to be that upstanding citizen in society. With that being said, I've seen a lot of situations where a child was raised in a great environment. They were given all the tools they could have possibly been given in life to succeed. And then as an adult, they make poor decisions. They don't really take advantage of the opportunities that they have been afforded. They may not be the best citizen in society. And looking at them, you would not think that they had the upbringing that they had. I've also seen the opposite situation where a child may be a product of an environment that's not too savory. They may not be, afforded extra opportunities to be the best that they can be in life. Odds stacked against them, but then they turn out to be this great person, breaking down barriers, starting trends positively, all these great things that if you had to say what type of environment they came from, you wouldn't think they came from that type of environment. And then sometimes people fall in line with exactly what you think, or you stereotype them to fall in line with. Somebody going to a college, preparatory, high school, affording all the sports and activities to be in, scholarships, XYZ. They go on to be the president, or they go on to do this, or they go on to do that. Or kids that maybe didn't come from the best environment, then they go on blame yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Don't think that you actually literally failed. You did what you were supposed to do as a parent. You know, our hope is only that the morals, values, and principles that we are trying to instill in our child get picked up and get absorbed. But sometimes the reality of life is that it doesn't. And as a parent, of course you're going to feel like you failed, or of course you're going to feel like some of that may be on you because that's your child. You want what's best for them. You tried harder to make sure that this didn't happen. But sometimes in reality, certain things that our children may be exposed to without our control, whatever the situation may be, sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. And that can be a hard pill to swallow. But that doesn't mean don't try, don't think about the impact of your actions and words, don't try to lay that footwork, because all we can do as a parent is try to put our kids in the best position possible. For me personally, one of the values that I want to instill in my daughter is that hard work pays off. I want her to always see and say, I grew up watching my mama get it. She was out here hustling. She was out here making moves. She's serious about her money. You know what I'm saying? She worked her full-time job. She had her treat business. She did this, she did that. I want her to grow up being proud of her mom and then all the hard work I'm putting in to make sure that we have a great life. And on top of that, I want her to know that you can do it by yourself. You can get all the success in the world by yourself. You don't have to depend on anybody or wait on anybody to make moves to get to where you want to be. Now, don't get me wrong. Companionship is very important. It is very essential to life. And I want that for her. But I just want her to know that until that time comes where you meet that special somebody that you want to spend the rest of your life with, XYZ, you want to build with, blah, 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 it's okay to do what you need to do for yourself and get to where you want to be by yourself. And that's just it. I just want her to know that being strong and independent doesn't have to be only through partnership. It can be off your own back. So that's just important to me because I was raised that way. Even though I came from a two-parent household and I grew up only seeing partnership, I was raised to say, hey, you don't depend on anybody else. You always put yourself in a position to take care of yourself and to handle your business by yourself. And then when that special somebody comes along that you're able to build with, then great. But always be in a position where you can take care of yourself. And that's what I want her to really grow up, truly realize and understand. Another value that's important to me that I want to make sure that she sees and understands is the importance of healthy relationship and true love. Specifically, I want her to know that you don't have to stay in situations that are not healthy for you, whether that's physically, emotionally, and or spiritually. I want her to know her self-worth and her value. And I feel like that starts with me. You know, I think a lot of children see their parents maybe sticking in friendships that aren't healthy, or maybe sticking in romantic relationships that aren't healthy. They'll see things that transpire, then, you know, their parents take the person back, overlook things because they're in love, or whatever the situation is. And then sometimes the kids grow up thinking like, oh, well, that's how a relationship is supposed to work. You know, someone gets disrespected tremendously. Oh, you know, take a week and then get over it and come back to it. I don't want my daughter to grow up seeing me accept foolishness, foolery, things that should never happen. I don't want her thinking like, oh, well, mommy tolerated that for 10 years. to stick in something that is not uplifting you, taking you to the next level, and managing healthy habits, healthy mindsets, healthy spiritual relationships, and just healthy emotional boundaries. Boundaries are so important romantically, in a relationship, with just a friend, family, everybody. And I just want her to understand what's healthy and what's not, what's worth fighting for, what's not. And I want her to be able to identify non-negotiables and boundaries at an early age, because that's going to really help her stick to her grounds and know what is for her and what's not for her. And like I said, that starts with me and how she sees me watering my relationships, nurturing my relationships with others, how she sees me handling other people, and how I allow other people to handle me. So I just want to be a great example with that, because I want her to know the value of her self-worth, what true love looks like, because we all deserve that. You know, if we're willing to give it and we're willing to, you know, be that consistently for someone else, we all deserve that reciprocity in that department. And so those are just two things that I really just want her to grow up seeing, being instilled in her, and just knowing, like, okay, hard work and valuable relationships, like, all of those, both of those are very important. They're not the only things that are important, but they're the two things that stick out in my mind based off of my life experiences and what I have seen other people be exposed to throughout a lifetime. I just wanted to share my top two at this point in my life, and those could always change, but like right now, those are the top two. If you ask me on the spot what I think is the most important to instill in her, why I think those are so important, and then I just wanted to share, or kind of pick your brain or stimulate your mind to think like, wow, like, have I thought about what I want my children to see me doing? Like, have I thought about what, you know, values, principles, and morals I want to instill in my children? Like, because it starts at a young age and it only progresses from there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this talk, and definitely I'll be back soon. See y'all later.